Jamal, watching the film, what stood out to you that maybe didn't stick out to you in your post game?
Just looking back at it, that momentum shift in the third quarter was big. I think us being deliberate and intentional in some of our defensive communication pieces had a couple mishaps. I think that's what got to their spark. Got a lot of easy baskets that we missed. I think that's one of the big portions that stood out as well. And then our ability to play up faster, we got to push that ball up the floor a lot faster, so we're not sitting down playing against a set switching defense.
You mentioned wanting to play a little bit faster. Boston's obviously a team that is comfortable playing with fewer possessions on offense. How do you balance that out? How do you get more possessions out of the team when both teams are kind of operate at that pace?
Well, they did a great job. Drew was picking up full court, Richard was picking up full court, so I think that had us slow down a little bit. But we've got to be more intentional in how we do it. When that ball either goes through the hoop or we get a defensive rebound, we've got to look to push early. And I think once we can put the pressure on the defense that way, then we've got to look for the play after the play, not letting it stall out and then let their switching become an issue.
How important is it to control that pace of the game? Boston's able to get a lot of fast break points. Turnovers obviously a big part of that. Is it almost how good both of these defenses are when they get set? Is it almost whoever can win the fast break points or get out and run?
That is a big portion of it. I think our ability, the other standout was 15 turnovers for 24 points, and a lot of those were live ball turnovers. And our ability to make sure that when we get the rebound or we do turn them over, we've got to make sure we convert because you got to get easy baskets when you have a high level defense as they are.
A lot of the players last night kind of kept things in perspective. It was just game one, lessons to be learned. What did you see from them in terms of focus level and mentality today?
I thought they've been great today. We sat down, we watched the film, studied some things that we'll need to clean up. We'll work on that again tomorrow, but just their ability, again, to keep it in perspective and understand it is game one, first time here in the playoffs, but also knowing what we're capable of doing. They had us up, down 12, our ability to fight and bounce back, so you understand what you're capable of doing, and then being able to control the controllables.
And then having the 2 days of practice in between, how big is that?
It's huge. Our ability to, get fresh, get some fresh shots up today, get our bodies the rest that we need, then come in tomorrow and tighten up the specific details of everything that we need to do is great to have, in a playoff series.
You mentioned Drew earlier. How did he change the game for them?
Drew's always been disruptive. There's a reason why he's always in the conversation for Defensive Player of the Year, because he's just so smart. His knack to guard multiple positions, but also to just be able to not guard other positions because of where he's roaming on the floor, disrupting, and some of those things are just him doing what he's able to do versus being told what to do. He just has a knack for those things, and I think the faster we can read those situations, the better we'll be. Thank you.
So, Jay, what were the things that stood out about yesterday's game?
I think one thing is that we kind of held them under the amount of 3-pointers they usually take. Obviously, they made a couple that hurt us, but I think it's a game. We missed shots, had some good looks, turned the ball over a little bit too much, but I thought it was a good game.
What are the keys to not turning the ball over as much against them?
I think they're really handsy. Drew and Derek White, they get their hands in there quite a bit. I think just focusing on getting a good shot every time, getting to the basket, getting downhill, getting fouled, get more free throws.
You guarded Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum well yesterday. What are the keys to kind of sustaining that to some extent the rest of the series?
You just got to be as physical as possible. They're extremely talented, gifted, offensive scorers, and so you just got to, they make a tough shot, you tip your hat, and you come back to the next possession and give it your best shot again.
What are the keys to kind of getting into more of a rhythm as far as moving the ball, sharing, and things like that?
I think our pace is a big one. I think we can't get into the lull of a half-court game with them. We got to get up and down on makes and misses, get the ball out, and I think that'll give us more opportunities to move the ball in transition and as we get into sets instead of, against their set defense in the half court, they're tough just like us.
Thanks, Jay.
Appreciate it.